All right, so I'm Andrew. Yeah, and we made a breathalyzer based off our Project 3 using the Arduino. So here we go. Our system specs and requirements use an alcohol sensor to read VAC percentages, of course. Display the VAC on an LCD and use an LED to show when the VAC is over the legal limit. Then we have a button to initiate a testing sequence, and another requirement was that we needed to store the high score to memory. High reading, not score. It's not a game, guys.
Some extra requirements we want to do is add a decay century so that you're over the legal limit, and another one is want to have an interface so you can add a username, have your current score or reading recorded, and you can delete your username or your score so you can add more users.
So here's the hardware layout, pretty straightforward, nothing too insane, just the alcohol sensor, buttons and LEDs, and the LCD. But all the real new stuff between Project 3 and now was in the software. We made menus for basically all the different options that were in the requirements and the extended requirements. So the menus could scroll through letters when you're putting in a username, values for the legal limit, and between menu items. And the real trick would be about all this is storing it into the memory as Justin and Andrew did. And so it wouldn't be cleared between resets and program uploads and all that stuff. And so that's all stored as bytes in a 1K amount of space. And so we have strings for the usernames and like values stored in an unsigned character for their VAC. And then a master reset will clear all the memory, which is another option in one of the menus. And you don't have to restart the whole program if you want to change users. That's another menu option. Oh, and so the test sequence is this. There's a countdown, a breathe period, then after the breathe period, the LEDs, one of the two LEDs will show you whether you're over or under the legal limit. And then it'll tell you if you beat your high score. And then there's a cool down period, which is really important because the alcohol sensor needs to get all the alcohol out of its system before it can test another person, or else that person can have a reading from the previous user or previous test period. So when we were packaging this all up, we basically just started with our Project 3, and then we wanted to get it all nice and small, so we got rid of the breadboard, which took a lot of solder and stuff and electrical tape. Then we had to cut into our housing spots for all the like the LCD LEDs and the sensor and all that. And we want to make it easily accessible in case there needs to be maintenance, so it's just like a little push-in thing back. And then most breathalyzers don't have Amazon packaging info, so we put a faceplate on it.
So we have collaborated to see what we can arrange about the home. So we use this website to test the hazards of water and alcohol consumption or relaxing.
And then after the calibration, we also had to test to make sure there was total functionality in our system. And it wasn't too hard to find volunteers for that. It was pretty good. So demo time, I guess. I was thinking to just do it. I have a camera because it's all on a LCD, so like no one will be able to see it if we don't grab it. But you think you can hold this? So, as you can see, a little more this way. Awesome. Is it? It's backwards. backwards because it's face down. Okay, everyone come up here. We're doing it the old-fashioned way. All right, so.
Choi, are you telling us that you're drunk in class right now?
Yeah. So here's it starts off, here I'll just show you. You unplug it, turn it on or whatever. Starts off saying select your user. So you could choose a new user, or if you scroll through the menu, you could see you could choose an existing user or clear the system memory. I'll show you that later. But for existing user, it'll display the username and the BAC content for them. So I have a few users in there. We could go to this guy and it'll tell you that you selected that user. Then here you can, there's a bunch of options. You could breathalyze. Under user options, you could set the legal limit. I'll just show you that right now. So you could, right now, when you click on it, it's always at 0.08. And then you could change it to whatever value and then store it, and it will stay stored in EEPROM. And then other user menus, you could view your score, reset your score to 0, change your name, delete the user. It's all pretty straightforward. And then you could go back, and this is what I was saying, you could just change the user without turning it back on, or turning it off and turning it back on. So let's do the breathalyze. I'll do it without any alcohol going in it. So there's a countdown that tells you to breathe, and then it'll tell you your value, and then because it was already at 0, it just said yeah. And then there's the cooldown section, and then I'll do it. Actually, I'll show you with a different user that has an actual score. Oh yeah, there we go. So like Lindsay there has a 0.261. So if you do it and it's a lower score, it'll tell you that you didn't beat your high score. Cool. And so there's no cooldown section because there's no alcohol in it. So I'll show you with some hand sanitizer. That's how we did all the testing. No real alcohol was used. So you start the breathalyze sequence. I'm just gonna pump some in there. And then it read at 0.253, which is pretty high because this is like pure alcohol. So then the cooldown section does take a long time because there's no like fanning unit, you know, so it has to get all that out there naturally. But yeah, that's basically it. So.
Does it let you know when it's cooled down?
Yeah. It says cooldown and then resets back to the main menu once it's done cooling
Okay.
down. Yeah, and the LED stays lit the whole time, whether it's over or under.
During the cooldown period, is it still monitoring? So.
Yeah, it has to
when
be.
actually
It has to be
reaches
because
zero,
it
that's
has
when
to
it
reach
stops
0.
cooldown?
Mhm. Exactly. It's not just a time period, or else, who knows? Someone could still be breathing into it. So it's constantly reading throughout that whole time period until it reaches back down to 0, and then lets you do the breathalyze sequence again. Yeah, and it's all packaged up and everything. Got the 2 power sources there. So. All right, that was our fun time with the breathalyzer.